Hello, I'm your host Kaylee, and I would like to welcome Hughezy the H-Man from Hughezy Entertainment to the Murder Game. The Murder Game is a hypothetical thought exercise where Hughezy's goal will be to off as many people as possible using unlimited resources. But he's not allowed to use bombs or poison, so he's gonna have to get creative to outsmart his targets. My task is to challenge him every step of the way. In the Murder Game, you don't care about getting caught, but if you do, the game ends. How far will Hughezy go to outwit his enemies and achieve a high score? Play smart, play ruthless, but remember, the game is all about numbers. Now let's get into the fake crime and find out Hughezy's solution to the Murder Game. Welcome to the most twisted game of all. The Murder Game. This hypothetical thought exercise has one goal: eliminate as many people as you possibly can. It's all about numbers. No moral compass, just a thirst for chaos. Just 3 simple rules. Rule 1. Unlimited resources. Money, technology, influence. You have everything at your fingertips. Rule 2. Poison, bombs, off the table. Don't rely on usual methods. This game is for the creative, the cunning, the brilliant. It's your mind against the masses. Rule 3. You don't care about getting caught or eliminated, but once you are, the game ends. Count the bodies. The highest number wins. Are you ruthless enough to play the Murder Game? Hughezy, thank you so much for joining me.
Listen, if I get to talk about my plans of killing people legally, then I will always do it. When Kaylee sent me the list of the task for this, it took me a worryingly short amount of time to come up with my ideas. Because let's just say I'm 40 now, so I've had a lot of angry years of thinking about this, and it won't happen.
Of course not. As long as you're not trying to enact a second potato famine, I think I'm going to enjoy whatever you have to say.
Well, that's actually offensive because I can't eat potato right now because I've got a gout, so I am starving. In fact, I'm storming off the show. Well, I'm limping off the show.
The best episode ever. All right, well, I want to hear your solution to the Murder Game. Get me into it. Set me up with your plans.
Okay, well, the first thing that I've always thought would be a perfect scenario to do this stuff, to unalive people, is at a music festival.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, there's a festival I love to go to, or I used to go to before they let Harry Styles headline it, called Slane Castle Festival in Ireland. And what they would do is they would have a campsite that would open up for 2 days before the gig, and it would be pretty much like a non-stop debauchery, people going all hard all day, every day, up until the Harry Styles concert would happen, or Madonna. So, and I would always look at people and think, I would fucking love to kill you, but I've thought of the perfect weapon to do it, and it would be...
I'm just looking up that festival just so that we have a general idea. So it looks like the attendees is usually 70 to 110,000 people attend this concert.
Yes, and each one more obnoxious than the next, because I remember going to see Metallica there about 3 or 4 years, well, maybe 5 years ago, and for whatever reason, these idiots in there put literally a single free water tap during the middle of the summer, and Metallica completely sold it out. So unless you wanted to queue for like 40 minutes to get a glass of piss or whatever they called beer, you needed to get water. So I think that could have been the time that somebody actually unalived another person.
Yeah, that sounds like my own personal hell. So all right, so how are we getting all these people?
Okay, well, my thought process was that the way to do it would be at the campsite the night before, and the method would be ice.
Okay.
Because you could bring like your coolers and all this stuff, and if you've got like a camper van, you could literally have like a water bottle completely frozen solid, and all you've got to do is cut the plastic off, and you have this giant, huge ice brick that you could use to smash in a skull or to stab someone with if it's sharpened.
Okay. So how big is this water bottle?
That depends on your choice, because you could fill a liter bottle, you could fill a small one for a stabbing weapon. For a big one, you could literally use it to smash a skull, or And I was thinking, as a way to get around it, there's so many coolers, because they usually have about 2,000 to 3,000 people in the campsite area.
Okay.
And there's coolers everywhere. So there's no way they could say it was the person with the cooler, because everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one. So you're playing the long game then.
Yeah, and once you've bashed somebody's head in with ice or stabbed them with ice, which can happen if you watch Die Hard 2, the good one, it melts.
No more murder weapon.
Yeah, and you can't fingerprint water.
Yeah, that's true. But I do have a question about the fact that the ice melts. If the ice melts, how many people do you think... Okay, so you get one weapon. How many people do you think you get with that one weapon before it starts melting?
I would say 2 to 4 is a realistic option, because because I remember there was a day we went to see Guns N' Roses, which was a great idea, at Slane Castle, and there was this group of people who, whatever they were doing, went in, set up their camp, and immediately passed out on the ground. And I always think we could have bashed their heads in, and no one would have noticed any difference, because they were out of it. And I think that more than 4 would be too much effort.
I think so too. And I think, again, you would deal with the issue of your weapon melting out of your hands. That's both an advantage and a disadvantage, I suppose, in this scenario.
But you could also have multiple weapons stored up. Like, you couldn't just run around a campsite with bricks of ice and people go, hey, what are you doing with that? Says, going for a piss. But I would think that you could get away with it at least 3 or 4, 2 to 4 times in a day without people becoming suspicious.
Okay, so you go to the campsite, you have your ice pick murder weapon, and you kill 2 to 4 people who are sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
What's your next move?
Well, one of the things is that a lot of people, when they go to concerts or festivals, is that they sort of do you mean to cover up?
Well, you don't even necessarily need to cover up. How are you getting more than 2 to 4 people?
Oh, well, I would sort of patrol the campsite at night once the sun goes down. And I would sort of look for the easier targets, maybe the people who are staying out on the outer rims of the... Like, I'm not going to do it right in the middle of the campsite. That would be a ridiculous behavior.
Yes, agreed. I
would patrol for the easy targets, but hopefully it would be the people that I didn't like the look of.
So your solution is basically to, with your hands, with ice in your hands, go around and kill as many people as possible.
Yes. Well, I think 4 would be a lot, because I would want to get back to having fun.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's get you some higher numbers than that, because I feel like you have something interesting here. I feel like this could be really interesting, because I do think you're right. You have the advantage of not having a murder weapon to ID you. If you're sneaky about it and everybody's drunk and crazy, perhaps they don't get a good look at you. So you can get away and murder another 4 people. Let's say there's 4 people in a tent. You go and you get 1 tent. How long do you think that you can keep that up before somebody figures you out?
Oh, I think I could get away with it, the entire thing. Like, I could actually go to the gig, and unless they were discovered beforehand, like, if you zip their tent and they don't come out of the tent, they're probably just sleeping it off. And that being said, the people that I went with to the festival myself, you could probably get much higher numbers, because if they were in on it too.
Well, I would argue that they can't be in on it, because I would argue that if they're in on it, that is you getting found out. So I
But
would say if anybody finds out, regardless of if it's the authorities or if it's your friends, then you are officially done with the game.
I could, thinking about it right now, if I went with a friend, I could bring them to say, oh, you've got to come see what's going on over here. Show them the scene of the murder.
Yeah,
Kill them too with the backup ice.
of course.
Then I would somehow plant evidence on them, like maybe gloves or some type of a motive on them to make it so that if they were going to get caught, they would get the full blame and I would be off rocking.
Interesting. I like that. Okay, so how many people total do you think that you could get with this plan? Like, what is you go and you kill the 2 to 4 people and then you move on to the next 2 to 4 people. By the end of the night, when morning comes, how many people do you think you have?
I would say that unless I was specifically being risky, 4 would be the total maximum. Or should I say 4 campsites? Because it would be very difficult to do that shit and get away with it.
So to get even higher number, so let's say that's 16 people then, right? You're playing, I guess, a longer game almost, because something else that you could do is if you don't get caught, then you can do the same exact thing at another festival. And as we know, summertime is festival season. You could basically just trounce around Europe and do this at every festival.
True. You could also really ramp it up by hiding fireworks inside what do you call them, campfires, so that if they don't realize it, then what do you call them, a Chinese candle goes off in their face. They'll be like, oh, you need to lie down, you seem like you've been burned, maybe I'll bring some ice for you.
Okay, so that's a very clever way. Usually I would say fireworks don't count because that is the usage of effectively a bomb. But if you're just using the fireworks to sedate somebody and then you're killing them with somebody else, I think that I will allow that.
Yeah, I think that it could cause an illusion or a diversion so that maybe strangers would think, oh, they must have died from getting hit in the head with a firework. And they go, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Of course. How bizarre. Wowee. So are you a masked intruder during all of this, or are you just going around and doing it with your plain face because you're being so sneaky about it?
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about, is that because it's a music festival, and like I went to see AC/DC last summer, thank you very much, and at Croke Park Stadium, and they'd sold it out, and there was like 82,000 people there. And there had to have been maybe 30,000 grown men in schoolboy uniforms for Angus Young. So people dress up, change their look for certain gigs. So I was thinking, because I've been kind of lucky in that my hair grows back pretty fast and my beard grows pretty fast. So on the day, I could go there with some sort of different look. Like I could grow, I could grow like my moustache in. I could get like a red Mohican for the day, so that if anyone's looking suspicious, it's like, oh, well, the guy had a red Mohican and a big like Hulk Hogan moustache or whatever, so let's look for him. Whereas I could simply just go after the murder, go back to my tent. Hopefully I'd have remembered to bring my electric shaver, which would be charging, and shave everything off. So I'm now bald, clean shaven. And within, say, 6 days, I would have like a maybe not a full beard, but a decent sized beard, a bit of growth back. So I would look nothing like who they were looking for.
I like that. I like the idea of trying to hide in plain sight.
That's always the thing. Like, not to get it political, of course, but there's certain people who are like publicly making crimes and get away with it because they can claim a victimization. No offense.
Never. I would never take any offense from anything that you said. Okay, so walk me through again. Tell me about your night. Like, give me the details of your night. It's nighttime. You're not drunk because you have to be, sober enough for your plan to work. Everybody's starting to go to sleep. They're passed out drunk. What's your first stop? You walk around the outskirts?
Yeah, I would do like a night patrol and just see, because usually it's during the summer, so people would tend to initially fall asleep in their chairs outside before they would wake up and be like, oh, I gotta go into the tent. So I could almost get them outside their tent while there was like somebody's asleep with their head over the back of a deck chair. That's a perfect shot. So I could get them right in the top of the skull and just throw the body in their tent. Or sometimes people sleep with their heads out of their tent because it gets so warm. And I would just destroy them with a single blow. Thank you.
I think that this is an interesting solution. I think that the problem with this solution is that you're effectively becoming a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically your solution to the game, is you become a very clever and unique type of serial killer. Serial killers tend not to actually get that high of numbers. So I think even the highest numbers that serial killers have ever gotten have just been in the hundreds. Do you think that with this solution you can get more than 100 if you play the long game and possibly go to multiple festivals? Or are you thinking that you're lower than that 100?
Way lower. I would think
lower.
that like if you look at the Zodiac Killer,
Yes.
he would take long gaps between his murders, well, at least the ones he'd been caught doing. So I would say you could do it during the summer, but at the same time, I think I would eventually age out of it because like I can't be going to see who's popular at the minute, Taylor Swift festival, and being the only like 40-year-old walking around all these campsites full of dumb bitches. No offense.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would stand out a little bit more. I think that people, even if you were trying to disguise your appearance, people would figure you out.
Exactly, and so I think, and then it would get to the point where you would have to give it up because if you kept trying to go on too long and you're like nearly 60 and you're going to the Ed Sheeran anniversary tour or something really good like that, people are gonna go, that guy's really old for the anniversary of all these great Ed Sheeran albums that everybody loves and respects so highly because he's such a good songwriter. And so I would think eventually I would have to accept defeat.
Yes, I think so too. Okay, so how many people do you think that you could get before you have to retire?
I think I could do it for like about 7 years, because if you go bald, then you won't be able to like use your hair as a disguise, because then people are going to be specifically looking, and I've probably got a fucking weird shaped head or whatever. So that I would lose my Mohican alibi. I would lose all that type of stuff. Like I wouldn't be able to disguise my appearance.
And would your goal be to do multiple concerts every summer?
Yes.
So how many concerts do you think you could do per summer?
Oh well, I could do at least 10, because if people keep being found dead at festivals with smashed in skulls,
Yeah.
then eventually the people are going to go, has anybody noticed this is kind of weird?
Yeah, I think that people would catch on probably after the second time. So if you were able to do it for 7 years, 10 concerts a year, and kill 4 people per event, then your count would be 280.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. In fact, you would be well surpassing any other serial killer who has ever existed. The problem is that I think that you have a lot of opportunities to get caught. So before we talk about how you might get caught, I want you to actually walk me through how you would use the ice pick, the icicle, I guess. You're an icicle killer is what I'm just realizing right now. Is it going through eyeballs? Is it going, like, how are you stabbing somebody with this? Are we going full on Die Hard 2? What's happening?
Yeah, the good one. Which is a Christmas film, by the way. So you could stab them, I guess, in the throat with it. You could go for an eye, but you would have to really push it so that it goes into the brain.
Yep.
But I think with an ice block, you could just, especially with these festival-sized water, you can get like 2-liter bottles of water.
Yeah.
Now getting hit with the big, thick block of 2-liter water could easily cave a skull in.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'2", so if I threw it with force and I weigh 240, that could really hurt. or maybe I'm 6. Well, who cares what fucking height I am? But and that's the thing. So, and the great thing about it is the evidence would dissolve on the spot.
Yeah. So you would just leave the next morning. All right, I like this plan very much. I think that your numbers would probably be less than 280. I think you're getting caught before doing this for 10 years. I think that at some point somebody's going to figure you out and they're going to stop letting ice into all of the concerts, you know? Now, you do have an advantage, which is that because you have unlimited resources, if you wanted to, you could travel to other countries to do this. So, for example, if it's happening, in Ireland a bunch, and then you come over to the United States, well, we might not be quite as suspicious. So, I do think you could get a couple of years out of it, but I think that probably you're going to be able to do less than 10 years.
Yeah, you would also have to never use social media. Because you couldn't be like, oh, hey, here's me at Coachella, where 4 people died. And here's me at the Glastonbury Festival, where someone was smashed to death in the public toilet. And here's me, so you would have to almost not exist online for people to never understand or to kind of put it all together. That this guy keeps going to all these shows where people keep turning up dead at Red Vito.
I'm going to be honest, Hughezy. I think that puts a kink in your plan because I have never known you to not bring up all of the amazing concerts that you go to. How are you going to be able to live without telling everybody what shows you went and saw?
That is true. Unless I just started, what's the term? When you have you ever heard these people that use other people's social media posts and pass them off as their own, I remember there's a photograph you posted where you met the band. Was it The Sweet?
Yeah, it was The Sweet.
So I could say in 4 years' time, post that and go, oh, at the venue last night, I took this photograph. So people, he was in America when that person was ice picked up the arse to death in Scotland.
Interesting. So you got to throw them off the trail in multiple ways. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that you have a conservative number. I think that you could probably, with this solution to the murder game, get between 60 and 80 people, no problem. I think that your idea of having the murder weapon disappear is smart. And I think that if anybody is clever and evil enough to pull this off, it's probably you. So I like it very, very much.
Yeah, and plus it was also a way to brag about the fact that I can grow hair quickly.
Yeah, so that's very impressive. You should be very proud of that. I wish that for you for many more years.
Well, thank you. But the whole thing is that it would be an expensive process. Because concert tickets are getting so crazy. Like, at the time of recording this, the Black Sabbath show with Metallica and the Pumpkins and Alice in Chains went on. And the tickets are $2,000.
Yeah. But you have unlimited resources, so you can afford that.
True. And I actually do have unlimited resources, humble brag. But, fuck it. I think I can get away with it definitely at least once.
Yeah. No, I definitely think so too. So I think that we are going to say that you get someplace between 4 and 80 people. Would you agree with that? Depending on how successful you are at evading people and evading the cops and evading getting caught.
I think so. But the other thing about evading the police is if you watch a lot of these documentaries about serial killers, there's always a complete lunatic who isn't doing the killing, but seems to want people to think they're involved with the murders. Like,
yep.
There was a guy, not the Zodiac or whoever the fuck it was. It was on a Netflix documentary where a guy was doing multiple murders, and then there was someone who seemingly wanted the police to think it was him. Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Yeah, so it's like, and some dope is going to either become a copycat killer or accept the blame, or take the blame, or there's going to be someone that's so off their head on drugs they can't remember the night before, so they'll go to the police. I have no idea what I did last night. I was on pills, so someone would get the blame. Thank
That's a
Christ.
really good point. And you know, it's interesting. I didn't think about this is unique enough that you might inspire copycat killers. And I think that we could count their kills in your kill count.
True. Yeah. Again, going back to the Zodiac killer, is that he got the blame for a lot of random copycat killings that happened during that, like the famous one where a lady was uh, abducted in her car and she had a child with her. That wasn't the real Zodiac killer. That just happened to be another killer at the time who the blame went on the Zodiac, the poor guy that tried to cancel him.
Are you aware of, do you know, I just looked up his name because I couldn't remember, Herberto Seda. He was a killer in the 90s in New York City, and he was very much a copycat Zodiac killer who had some interesting history behind him. He ended up killing 9 people, so could you attribute that to the original Zodiac killer since he was being a copycat? Maybe.
But that's like saying that Greta Van Fleet are original songwriters. It's like, but
Yeah.
they're not, because they're just rehashing Led Zeppelin. But there we go.
Yeah, I heard them for the first time recently, and I was like, what the hell is this Led Zeppelin knockoff? They're so popular. Why does everybody like them?
Because people just think of Led Zeppelin as boring
Yeah.
old hippies, and it's like you're a
Yeah.
bunch of victims.
Yeah, they're very, very, very popular. You could go to one of their concerts, probably.
Well, if I went to their shows and anybody but the band got the ice attack, then I think it would be a waste of time.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. I love your solution. I love the idea. You know, a lot of the time when people play the murder game, they're trying to think of like weird, crazy things that they can do where they're kind of hands off. I love the hands on solutions. I will tell you, I'm not going to spoil what my actual solution to the murder game is, but my solution is also a hands on solution. My murder weapon ends up being an axe in my solution. Maybe one day I will tell my way, but I think I could get quite a few more people with my solution than you're getting with yours. So I think between the two of us, I am winning the murder game.
Have you ever genuinely thought of killing a person?
No. Have you?
Once, yes.
Oh, tell me
'Cause
more.
a long, long time ago, when we were leaving, well, it's called college in America, but we called it it's called tech over here. And I never
Okay.
actually found out why. We had an animated show because I can or could do impressions, and there was this guy who knew this production company guy, and he spent his own money getting this animation thing together, and it would have been like it was set way in the future, and there was a retirement home for all like the 80s action guys, and they've all got dementia and all this shit. So we'd all this stuff ready to go, and there was a pilot produced, and everybody loved it, and we were thinking, holy shit, this is going to be
Yeah.
our future.
Huge. Yeah.
We're going to move into TV. And the one guy who was in charge of it was just so condescending and was like, oh no, I don't think it's really what we're looking for. And we're like, what the fuck, you know? Because we told him this whole sort of business plan where like you could merchandise all this shit, you could maybe do games, you could make all this extra money from the show. The BBC were interested in all, and we were just thinking, we're gonna fucking make money and start careers.
Yeah.
And he shut it all down. And at the time, this was just as the recession had hit, so you literally could not get a normal job. So I went from being in a recording studio and speaking to animators and all this stuff to I'm having to sign on to benefits, and there wasn't one near my house, so I would have to get a bus into the city with big long traffic jams so that I could go sign on to get this fucking money and go home. And I remember once at a traffic jam, it happened to stop near the production company, and I seen that guy parking his car way up the street near this alleyway to where the office would be. And I was just sort of thinking, I could get him.
Right now.
You know,
oh my God.
And I was thinking, so all I would have to do is have like a stash or a change of clothes stashed on the other side of the street. I could wait for him to get out of his car, and I could sort of tackle him, get him in the alleyway, and that would be my revenge. So that's the one time I've genuinely thought I could fucking kill this guy.
So, is he currently alive? Is, I guess, the question that I want to ask. Do you know where he is now?
Yeah, I can't even remember his name. That's the fascinating thing. But he's the one person that I've genuinely thought you could be. I could get rid of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like he completely ruined your life, and that is a sad thing. Although, I would argue that you've recovered quite nicely, and now you're just thinking about using ice to kill people, so I'm very, very proud of how far you've come, Hughezy.
Thank you. And also the Slane Festival refuses to book any good acts anymore, so the chances of me icing people to death anytime soon, it may not happen.
I mean, you could go even if you don't personally like the acts, but, you know.
That is true. And I have to admit, there are a few Harry Styles songs that are guilty pleasures.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have to end up checking out Harry Styles. I don't think that I'm familiar with him at all. I'm aware of the name, but, you know.
Oh, he's a cunt.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't check him out in that case. And I won't be looking for any guys in alleyways. Thank you so much for sharing your solution to the murder game with me. I think this was super fun, and I think that your solution is awesome and creative. Even if your numbers aren't super duper duper crazy high, again, I think we're going to give you someplace between 4 and 80 people depending on when you get caught or when you retire. Would you like to tell everybody where they can find you when you're not thinking about crazy murder plans?
Yes, well, speaking of social media, I'm at the Hughezy on Twitter and Instagram. My podcast is called It's Hughezy Hello, which you can find available on all free streaming services, and the YouTube channel is Hughezy Entertainment, the most ironically named YouTube channel in the world. I would change the name of it, but it's been around for too long to change it now to just called Hughezy Average Uploads. And yeah, Kaylee herself has been on multiple episodes. The most recent one, well, not even the most recent one, the most recent podcast version was a David Lynch roundtable, which Kaylee was on, and see the video version become a YouTube member.
Yes.
It's a little bit of money for a whole lot of fun.
For all of the entertainment on Hughezy Entertainment. Very well worth it. Thank you again so much, Hughezy, for joining me on this episode of The Murder Game, and thank you guys all for listening. Don't forget, if you ever want to share your solution to the murder game or tear Hughezy's solution apart, you can always leave a comment or ask me if you can be a guest sometime in the future. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. The Murder Game.